Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Heaven on Earth. I'm Michael, the Leo Mystic, and this is where I bring you the sacred mission for this week through the astrology energy update for the 11th until the 16th of May. And this is to bring light, love, and spirit here on Earth for us Earth warriors and light workers. We got some work to do, and I would really appreciate if you just hit subscribe and share this video with some of your friends, because I know this is valuable information for everyone to see, and we just gotta support one another. Just holler at me. And so talking about energy, holy shit, did you feel that shift of all the planets going retrograde this week? I bet there's a lot of confusion. And it is partly because of Venus squaring Neptune. That is like, it's stuck, that too. But all the planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Pluto, they're all like, I don't know what to do. There's like, they're not moving. So we are stuck. We're like, what the fuck? And so, this is a time to reflect. I said that in a previous forecast. Go and check that out. But just, a little bit of context here is that now it's retrieval energy. And, it's not a moment to initiate, to go out and do stuff. Whilst you would think so if, the sun is going to shift into Gemini. And that in and of itself is like yang energy. Go out and share. And yes, it is a time to share and is a time to communicate, because holy damn, we're going to have so much Gemini energy. You're going to see the shift, like people on. And at that very moment, Mercury's in Gemini. Like, it's like, the image I get is like you're on a battlefield and you understand what just happened, but just like everyone around you is just not moving, and it's just like dead, and it's just like, you see so much. You can see the patterns, you can see the traces where everything happened, and you have all the information, but you can't do anything with it. It's just like, well, people are dead. It just happened. I can't do shit. What am I going to do with all that information that is worth nothing? And that's kind of like what Gemini Mercury at this moment is. But truly, I think this is, if we're talking about the battlefield, maybe that's not a perfect analogy, but let's just keep at it. It's just like, trying to understand, like, well, okay, what are the tactics of the other, group, or, from our opponent? How did they operate? Were they, fighting with swords and with arrows? And talking about arrows, okay, now that's a segue. We got Mars in Pisces at this very moment. And boy, did we feel that, right? It's just like all our actions are just like, this is like that arrow, right? And you're pointing it. And it's like, I liked how Kaipacha said it. This is Kaipacha's image, so I'm going to use it. But, it's just like you just catapult your flecha in Spanish, your arrow. And it's just like going fucking everywhere. Like, you don't know how to point. There's like no focus. You know what I'm saying? And so, but two key days for this week, Wednesday and Friday. And you're just always, building up towards, so the whole week is a build up towards that new moon in Gemini. So all week anyway, it's just like that energy is going to be like that. But we got Mars sextiling Uranus, and Mars is like a knife. And, it's like the point of the arrow, right? So it's like, it's going to hit something. It's going to go everywhere. Trust me, you're going to go everywhere. And you're going to be like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. It's just like, holy shit, what the fuck? And like you're a loose projectile, or what's that? Like a loose cannon. You're like a loose cannon. It's going everywhere. But sometimes it hits something. When it hits something, holy shit. It's going to be explosive, because we got sextile Uranus and, Mars squaring the sun. That is frustration. That is anger. That is not, you're not able to express it fully how you want it, because Mars is like, I want this. And so it's going to be expressed, but at the same time that Mars is sextiling the sun, Uranus, we got the moon on Uranus as well, and that is a sextile. So there is a channel to be able to, express, or, and I had a question, I go live on Instagram right before this in Dutch, and I had a question, how do you channel this? And I'm like, well, that's the whole point. You can't. It will be channeled for you, and you just got to roll with it. However the universe wants to express it through you. But there's no other way than to just surrender. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to let it happen. But it will happen, and it will manifest itself. It's so unpredictable, you can't control it, right? And so it will express itself, I don't know, like in a physical manifestation. It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of dangerous physically. I think, there will be bruises. I hope not too bad. But, since we got to use that analogy of channeling, right? Let me go there. And I was explaining on Instagram that, that information, that intuitive information that comes through and will be a physical manifestation. The thing is that you have two options. You follow up on the channeling energy, or you don't, and it's just gonna cost you something. And it's just about trust. This is about allowing that to express itself through you. Let's just use the analogy of an accident happened, which is very likely, and you get a download, which is, by the way, something Carolyn Meese talks about all the time. And this is her example. But there's like a car accident, and you get an intuitive download. You hear a voice. It says, go and check on that person and put your hands on that person. And so you're like, you could do two things. You could go and trust the information, just put your hands on there. And then at the same time, you can also say, well, I'm not going to do that because what are people going to think of me? Or what if I do something wrong and that person, dies, and then it's my fault? And you start thinking, and that's kind of like, that's exactly what is happening, that dialogue in the head. And you're going to be catapulted everywhere. And you're just going to be a loose cannon by source. Because at the end of this week on Friday, right? This, like, the new moon is about new intentions. But we're going to have to learn that all these new intentions, we just put it out there. And we can put it out there and it's going to go everywhere. There's no focus. And we have to learn that any road is okay. That whatever road you pick, you got to pick something, right? But whatever road you pick is okay. But it's more likely going to be, here's your road and you walk it. It's like, it's not even you picking it. It's just going to come on your path, and you're just like, okay, this is blind faith. This is Mars in Pisces. You know what I'm saying? And so then on Friday, that new moon, right? This is funny because I'm not into like numerology and don't know too much of it yet. I'm super interested in it. But, just for those people who are numerologists, please explain this to me, what I'm about to say, right? We got the 22nd of May, 2020. So that's a lot of twos already. But then we got Sun on the 2nd degree, Moon on the 2nd degree, because that's what happens with the new moon. So that's already 2-2, 22nd of May, right? 2-2. And then we got 20th degree of Gemini, Venus, and 20th degree of Mercury, also Gemini, because they have a conjunction at the same time that there's a new moon. So these are two new phases that are happening. A new start in relationships, new communication, gathering information about your karmic relationship, about love, about conditional love versus unconditional love. But also, this is 2020. Now, I know this is looking for it, and sometimes, I'm like, you can take stuff too far. But it's kind of funny. Because we just had, we have this Mars in Pisces, which is this loose cannon. And, you know, anything can happen with whenever the moon, with like it's dark, right? And I have to say something about it. Remind me about this. You're gonna remind me about that? All right, cool. So, but let me just finish up saying that, you know, it's gonna be like the universe got a weird sense of humor, and I feel like that Friday, you're gonna see like this unexpected twist, like so much information, fake news. Like Mercury on Venus, square in Gemini, square Neptune, that's fake news. Like, that's weird shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, confusion, fake news. But here's the thing. Here's a funny twist, right? If you can see, because what's happening is we got Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Venus retrograde. All these retrogrades are just information about Jupiter, what I believe. Saturn, my responsibilities. Pluto, my dark shit. And the change that is happening in authority and business and, you know, the whole traditions thing, you know. And all of that is being reflected upon, and it's just bringing unconscious material to the surface. Unexpected. And that in and of itself is already bringing more chaos to the confusion. But what I was saying is, what's actually happening with this new moon trining over to Saturn is, well, and Jupiter in Capricorn, what is this information that is going to be very important, by the way, about karmic relationships? But what is this telling me truly? Like this fake news that is coming through and all that flood of information. There's people vomiting information, truly. Like you're gonna have to vomit because you see people vomiting information. You know, when you're like someone vomited on the floor and you're like, you need to vomit too because of, you know, the gag reflex, because it doesn't smell, and you just saw that. That's kind of how it's gonna be, like a week of vomiting information and just more vomiting and vomiting. But here's the key, like behind all that information, what's the true message? What is the spiritual meaning behind it? And there's like depth, because there's so much, you know, it's like a veil, you know, it's like the curtain. And like the curtain just makes things beautiful. You know, when you have like a closet and you don't have this, you know, this wooden thing, what's the door? Thank you. See, that's kind of Mercury square Pisces, man. But you don't have that door to close it, but so you put a blanket, and so the blanket kind of makes it more like structured and beautiful, and just hides it. But if you remove the curtain, holy shit, there's a lot behind it. And this time, this is not your clothes or anything. This is universal truth. This is, you know, that weird sense of humor of source. You know, that all of a sudden, you know, you're just like, hey, here's actually what's going on. Let me tell you. If you truly listen, here's what's going on. You're going to be like, fuck, for real? Like, shit, really? Like, Trump knows all this stuff? He's actually playing? He's like, he's actually the good guy? Holy shit! You know, that kind of information is going to, like Trump knows, and Trump is just fucking stuff up, and he's like our representative for sure. Like I'm not saying, you know, I'm not taking a stand for Trump here, but I'm just making that analogy. It's like, it's going to be such a weird, twisted, like fucking weird shit. And you're going to be like, holy damn. And you know why? Because you just got to understand that we're not as important as we think. You know, I just posted on my Instagram this whole, you know, the biggest black hole in the universe, like, and it's like a big circle, and then in the middle there's like this little point, and it said, well, you know, that's our solar system. I'm like, okay, I guess we're not that important, right? Because there's so much more. You know, if you just take also relatively the cycles of life, you know, just one circle through the yugas, which is, you know, a way of calculating, kind of like the Mayan system anyway. Let's not get too deep in that, but it's like, there's a 26,000 year cycle, there's a 54,000 year cycle. And so if you just learned your history, you're like, oh, we're like 10,000 years back in history and then things started happening. Fuck no, man. Like, there's been stuff going on for tens of millions of years that we don't even know of, and that the occult science is showing us, like, well, that happened and that happened and that happened. You know, and that can be a debate. You know, we got so much Gemini Sagittarian energy that it's about what's true and what do you believe and what I believe and blah, blah, blah. So there's that conversation going on in the background. But the whole point is, can you see the organization, the divine orchestrated 5D, you know, and a lot more than 5D, but you know what I'm saying. It's just like, you just need to know, like, you need to open your heart, and that will open your eyes, truly. You know, when someone is saying something, see, this is Mercury going so fast for Gemini. You speak faster than you think, or you think faster than you speak, and anyway, fuck it. But that's that whole you know, thing about opening the heart, and then you see truly behind the veil. You understand the true meaning of what the person is actually saying. What he's saying with his words is not as important as the energy that is behind the person. And we need to learn to trust that. We need to learn to look further. We need to trust ourselves more and the information within ourselves than something external, which is what Gemini words and persuasion is all about. There's a lot of people going to be persuading you into fake news, into believing you that the masks really help, into believe, like, you see what I'm doing? Like, I'm already putting an opinion out there, and it triggers you, right? It's like, it's not true. That's the Gemini energy, right? It's just like, fuck, no, just rah. You know, let's just get past that and just really see what is the divine orchestration here, right? So anyway, you know, this is about being a loose cannon and letting it be okay. Any road is okay, right? That's the lesson for this week. A lot of chaos, you're going to be projected everywhere, and it's going to be so overwhelming, but it's going to be important information. This week we gather nuggets, golden nuggets of information that later, when Venus comes back over this again, when Venus passes the 21st degree, you're going to be like, whoop, I got it now. That's what was about. That's what that was about. Holy shit. So just, you know, stick with it. Just roll. That was deep. That was kind of like Neptunian. Anyway, thank you so much. Let me know what you think of this. How are you feeling with this energy? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any question, drop it below as well. And I would really appreciate if you would share this video with your people. Thank you so much. See you next week. The Leo Mystic. Peace.